Greetings, geeks, and happy Halloween! Well, in the pages of Wizard it is. Yes, it is time once again for the all dressed up with no place to go costume contest. This is actually the third annual Wizard Halloween costume contest, and man, this was a big one for me, Michael. When this issue came out, these are the costumes I remember just poring over these pages and just being amazed with what people came up with. Now, you have said in the past, traditionally, you're not a big cosplayer yourself.
I am not a Halloweenie. I do not like Halloween. I do not dress up. I haven't dressed up since probably about second grade, other than maybe like one time where I dressed as Clark Kent, which was pretty simple. I just wore a suit from work and my eyeglasses and a Superman shirt underneath, and that's about it.
Yeah, to me it just feels like if any of these costumes impress you, then they will have done an amazing job. Let's jump into it here. So first up, the first on every top 10 list, the first of everything, it is a Spawn costume from Hal Smith of Sarasota, Florida, with Wizard's caption reading, "Boy, that'd be neat if I could fly. Yeah, if I could fly. Zoom, zoom!" But what do you think of this outfit, Michael?
It's actually quite good. The skull cod piece is a nice touch. It's a very large skull. I have to put that there in emphasis. The dude went all in with real chains. It's a decent looking cape. It's probably a better looking cape than the Spawn movie that was CGI, and I will say that. I really do think it's pretty good. I mean, for a 1994 cosplay, like that's pretty good, man. That's really quite good.
Yeah, it really does look great. You know, the only thing is the physique, right? That's the thing with comics fans. We don't have the physique. If he was super buff underneath, it would fill out the costume perfectly, and you'd be like, yep, that deserves to, be in a Spawn film, at least a Spawn fan film.
Yeah, that's why they have these guys that make costumes with, like, bodysuits underneath it now so that we can hide our dad bods.
All right, next up here is one that you don't have to hide, whatever body type you have, because it is Powdered Toast Man from Jared Evitas of Omaha, Nebraska, and his quote is, "Alrighty guys, we only got 5 minutes to eat my whole head." And Powdered Toast Man was my favorite segment. Whenever that would come up on the Ren and Stimpy show, I loved my Powdered Toast Man. Whenever he was in the Ren and Stimpy comics, those were the only issues I would buy. And so I'm a big fan of his choice. How did he make that giant bread head?
It's got to be like foam or some sort of thing like that. I mean, it looks really, really good, and it's a clear sign of the times, because if you were any kind of nerd or even just a kid that liked cartoons, you watched Ren and Stimpy and you knew who Powdered Toast Man was. So it's a very good representation of that time period as well, and it looks pretty good. I mean, I'm gonna say he's a little more Stay Puft Marshmallow-y than he is Powdered Toast Man-y, but overall, I mean, like, he's got these white sweats. Like, man, he must have gone to like some real, dollar store kind of to find white sweatpants and white shirt like that, oh boy. And but it's a good looking costume. It definitely is interesting. And he's posing with a Ren and Stimpy stuffed animals with, I think, is supposed to be like a small Christmas tree. I'm not really quite sure.
I know, it's interesting because it's like a Christmas Stimpy, and I think a Ren is the reindeer and Stimpy is Santa. And yeah, there's a little tiny pine tree there. But next up here from Demetrio Ortiz of Spring, Texas, he is Spider-Man, and he is actually shooting out a web. You can see it's some sort of like net, maybe like a soccer net that he put up on the side of his porch, and he's posing, and it's like a Dutch angle shot, so it's really dramatic. He has the traditional comics fan bod.
Mm-hmm.
He's not muscular, he is not svelte, but he says here, quote, "This web swinging stuff would be a lot easier without 20 gallons of stuff in my pants." I don't know how Wizard meant for us to read that.
Also, the way he's posing, he's kind of leaning in with his waist area, like his groinal area, so it almost gives you the impression that...
Well, that's what I'm saying. Are they trying to indicate that he is well endowed? I don't think it's that. Are they trying to indicate that he crapped his pants? I mean, 20 pounds of crap in there? I just don't know.
20 gallons, no less. Like, I don't know what 20 gallons of webbing? Is that what they're trying to imply? I don't know.
All right, Michael, why don't you take us over to the next page? Who do we have? Because you're about to crap your pants.
Great. So the next one we have is John M. Gregory from Camden, South Carolina, who is portraying Hellraiser, Pinhead, right? And the caption says, "What the Hellraiser are you staring at?" And he's got, pretty decent looking Pinhead situation going on there with, I think it's like ripped parts of his clothing that look like some sort of, stapled on skin of some sort, I guess. Like meat or something attached to his torso. and he's got a pretty good stone face. What's your thoughts on this Pinhead from Hellraiser?
Yeah, I mean, to me, he is spot on. I mean, I don't know if he bought an official kit or if that is just all him, but he is really, perfect if you've ever seen the film, which I assume you haven't, Michael?
I've seen the trailers.
But now, next up here, I mean, this, I gotta imagine you did this at some time, Michael. You sure you didn't dress up as Little Joker?
I hated face makeup.
Oh, okay.
Never once. I think one time my mom made me do like a devil for Halloween and had to put red face makeup on me, and that was the first and only time I ever did it in my entire life. Never.
Oh, but it's funny here. This little Turton Wald of West Allis, Wisconsin, their quote is, "I'm having a heart attack. Help me. This is just a painted on smile. I'm dying. Help me." But he is loving it. He is just, living it up, giving that Joker laugh. But speaking of loving it, man, I am excited about this Scarlet Spider costume.
This is really good.
This is impressive because it's not just a costume, it's a setting.
So we have Paul Rogas from Burbank, California, who's got a really, really spot-on Scarlet Spider, and the quote says, Spider clone guy, does whatever a spider clone guy does. Spins a web any size, sucks real bad, and you know why."
Wizard is not going to let up on dissing the spider clone at every opportunity.
But yeah, he built a set with a fake brick wall background and put webbing all over the place. He's sort of standing on what looks like an upside down IKEA cardboard box. And to be able to make some sort of costume like this back then is very, very impressive. It's really good.
Unfortunately, you can't really see how well he drew a spider onto the hoodie with, a Sharpie, but I'm sure he did a great job with that. Now, the next one over here, this is interesting because this guy made 4 different costumes. So this guy is full-on, pro-am cosplayer, Richard McCaslin of Zanesville, Ohio. They give him the Way Too Much Free Time Award.
That's what I was going to say. They took the words out of my mouth there. What's going on with this guy's life that he has all this kind of legit costume?
What's cool is that they say here, "Hey, let's hear it for the Wizard fans who have way too much free time and know how to sew." Sew? Come on, ditch that sissy sewing gig, do something manly, get into a bar fight or something. But he actually got some pretty cool prizes. This was his big moment to shine.
So from top to bottom, we start out with what looks like he built some sort of a set of a World War II battle where he's dressed up as Steve Rogers, Captain America, in the middle of World War II in Germany, and basically just standing over his victory in the battle. And it's a really stoic pose with what looks like an excellent costume, albeit a very small Captain America shield, like a kid's shield.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, did Toy Biz release a costume shield at this time?
I don't know, but this one was tiny. I feel like the costumes get progressively worse as you go down. So the next step down is a Wolverine costume. He's posing on a stump of a tree with some tiny Wolverine claws. Decent looking costume for the time. The eye covering is not that great. It looks like he just put 2 pieces of paper over his eyes, hide the whites of his eyes or whatever. Overall, it's not bad. It's an interesting kind of pose, I guess you would say. It looks like he's going to pounce, but he could also be, squatting in the woods, if you will. Then we go one step lower to a Spider-Man costume. And this Spider-Man costume, he's honestly fills out a costume fairly well. He doesn't look, he's fairly svelte as cosplayers might go at this time. And, the eyes are not that great. The cowl and the mask are not that great for Spider-Man, but overall, he looks like he's sort of running away from the cops, or he's hiding.
Yeah, he's up against a wall, and this looks like Turkish Spider-Man, if you've ever seen those Turkish superhero movies.
I've heard of them, and I've seen images online, yes. Now, the last one, I have to say, I thought was a statue. Like, he found, like, a garden gnome in his backyard.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look like a natural face.
It looks like a plastic face he put over himself.
Yeah, and he's posing as the Phantom, as you guys know from the Billy Zane movie, The Phantom. And it's a decent-looking costume, but the face looks like he's wearing, like, a Halloween mask.
And what it really looks like to me, Michael, this is before our time, but you know that I love retro toys. And back in the day, before Mego even, there was Captain Action. And Captain Action, you would buy dress-up sets for the basic body, and then you would put on, like, a Superman head over it, or you'd put on a Batman head over it, and then they would give you the costume. And that's what this looks like. It looks like a Captain Action doll that they just slipped over the Phantom head mask, and now you're Captain Action. All right, the next page is very exciting. This kid was probably the coolest at his Halloween party. Dustin Owen of Burbank, California is Gambit, and it says, "What if Archie Bunker was an X-Man?" So, okay, he's a little chubby. But the costume is, like, top-notch. His mom must have worked in Hollywood as a costumer. That's what I think.
I don't know if they're going with Archie Bunker because of his form, more or less his facial expression, which is sort of an Archie Bunker sort of like dismissive look on his face.
Maybe.
And on top of that, what's pretty funny about this is the way the photo is taken. It looks like he's got a citronella candle, like as his like almost like a sword in his back.
Yes, you're right. It's popping up over his shoulder.
Pretty funny. That action figure we did that you showed on Action Figure Fury a while back, it looks very, very much like that.
Yeah, it looks like they took the action figure and brought it to life. I mean, it's great.
Totally.
Next one over here for you fans of indie comics, we have Milk and Cheese by Evan Dorkin, brought to life by Dan Corbis of Woodstock, Illinois, and Justin Bill of Clarendon Hills, Illinois. They say, "We hate what you hate, and we hate you!" Basically, it's like those things where you have your head inserted, but there's a milk carton and a wedge of cheese, which are milk and cheese, inserted onto this board. So and then they have little arms and little, cartoony hands attached to the board. So basically you walk around and it looks like, you're making the expressions, you're talking, but your body, the illusion is that it's all just those tiny little characters. It's pretty creative.
Yeah, it's very cool. I like it. It's really cute. Something I would have never thought of.
Now, I'm very jealous here of Matt Abbott from Sacramento, California, with his Madman costume. The quote is, "I'm waiting for the mailman." Get it? Mailman? Get it? My mom thinks I'm funny. It's very homemade. It's another case of taking some sweats and then drawing, the Madman exclamation bolt. The mask is very hard, and I say this as someone who actually had a Madman costume custom tailor-made for me many years ago.
Again, another layer of the onion just peels back from you.
Because his mask is form-fitting, in the comics, and so you're trying to get this piece of cloth or whatever to stick to your face and, also let your mouth speak, and it doesn't work, but he did his best here. Nobody knew who he was, though, I guarantee, on Halloween night.
No one knew. They thought he was some sort of guy gonna rob their house, probably.
Speaking of that fear, Michael, who do we have on the bottom left here?
So we have a Ghost Rider. It's by Mark Moss from Dubuque, Iowa. Oh, wow. That's how you spell Dubuque? I always wondered. And the caption says, "The What Were You Thinking Award," because there is fire either on this man's head or behind him of some sort, but he is standing in front of fire, under trees no less, which probably will catch fire as well, in this Ghost Rider costume, which looks really good. Like the hands are a little, skeleton-y, whatever, but the mask looks terrific. I dig it.
Yeah, and I love Wizard's caption here. They say, "All right, let's hear for the Wizard fan willing to light his head on fire to win some free crap. What the hell is wrong with you? What is your major malfunction, Private Pile?" And so, it's insane. I want to believe that he lit, a ring behind him, but I don't know. Maybe he just took it real fast and they got that wet towel over his head.
Let's hope so. Or he's going to regret that one.
Yeah, the last one here, this feels like a store-bought costume. I have a hard time believing this is homemade, but Chad Lewis McDade of Woodbridge, Virginia is just a little kid posing like Spider-Man. Looks more like Japanese Spider-Man here. But he says, "Ah! Head mutating, growing too big, must stop. Because, yeah, the mask is a little oversized for his head.
Yeah,
so.
it's definitely a costume store purchase for sure. Because the way, like, especially because the way the feet are and the sneakers are out, it's what you would see back then for a costume at a Halloween costume shop.
All right, who do we have next on the next page?
So we have John Deluca from Harleysville, Pennsylvania, who is posing as Indiana Jones, and he's got a big, torch in front of him, which is a little bit concerning. The caption says, "Follow me. My dad keeps a bunch of cool fireworks and gasoline down here in the basement."
Yeah, and I don't know, like, when I look at this, I get that it's supposed to be Indiana Jones from the fedora, but I don't, because I always think of Indy with the leather jacket, and he doesn't have the leather jacket here, so it doesn't ring true to me.
I wonder if this is the same time when, like, Last Crusade came out, so that might be
Yeah, because that was 89, so, I mean, this is 5 years later.
I don't know, but it looks, I would say it's Indy.
Now, next here, we have, hey, look at me, I'm like a baby Catwoman, I'm marketable. Ashley Pizik of Berwyn, Illinois. And yeah, so I don't know. I would be interested to know how many girls wanted to be Michelle Pfeiffer after Batman Returns.
It's definitely a very cool kids costume of Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman. You saw this in 92, probably through at least 94, everywhere in the comic shops in the Halloween time because it was still very popular. It was like the go-to girls costume for a while.
Next one here, we got Blake Mcgregor, costumed by his brother Andrew from River Forest, Illinois. A lot of cosplayers in Illinois.
Yeah.
And he's saying, underwear too damn tight. And he is dressed as Cable, wearing some football pads and lots of other, padding. Basically, it wasn't hard to put together because I gotta get a bunch of pouches, I gotta get a bunch of knee pads and everything else, and then I'm Cable. Yep. But he did spray paint his hair silver, which is awesome.
No, it's a good looking Cable for, a kid to make, or they may have been playing in their backyard. One was Cable, one may have been Wolverine or whomever, whatever they're doing. But it's cute. I mean, he did a good job with the eye makeup over his eye, and the football padding is pretty funny, though. It just made me laugh. I would put that underneath the shirt, but it's almost like, oh, great, my big brother's going to tackle me now that I'm wearing this costume.
Well, actually, now that I'm looking at it, if you look closer at his left arm, it looks like he wrapped it in duct tape to make the cybernetic arm, but look what's on his wrist. That is a Nintendo controller. That is an original Nintendo controller wrapped on his arm with the cord.
Oh, wow, that's cool. Almost remember that movie, The Wizard?
Oh,
They had the video Armageddon, and they had the game glove, and they would be wearing the glove and had the controls in the hand as well.
Yeah, power glove, a makeshift power glove.
Yeah.
All right, the last one here on the bottom, this is like a semi-obscure Spider-Man villain, which is the Scarecrow, the Spider-Man version, not the Batman version. And he says, medium rare, you say? Let me just flip these over, because he is standing over these two dead, bloodied bodies with a pitchfork. And this is by Sean Mangrum of Jonesboro, Arkansas. I gotta tell you, when I was a kid, like I said, I looked at these so many times, I always thought that the guy on the bottom was supposed to be the other half of the guy, like he had split him in two,
yes.
And that was the legs and the other guy's the body. But now I see the actual head and arm of the other guy, so I'm like, oh, okay.
Back then, there was no digital photography, so you had to take this picture, bring it to a 1 hour photo, get it printed, and then get it back from the person with the 1 hour photo, and they're like, did someone just murder somebody with a pitchfork and I just printed out the photos?
Is this evidence? All right, Michael, tell us what's on the next special sidebar.
Okay, so the sidebar is 4 different versions of the Crow, and it says, costumes to crow about. Martin C. Walsh from Sunnyvale, California. Connie Bennett from Fredericksburg, Virginia. Enrico Bada from Sewell, New Jersey. And Paul Angeli from Fremont, California. What the hell? Was there a sale on white face paint this month, or are all the Wizard readers mimes? I hope not. The only thing worse than mimes are the French. And we've managed to keep both out of this magazine so far.
Oh. And then it says they got 50 fans entering as the Crow, which is, and when you look at these, they all look great. I mean, female Crow is not movie accurate, but you just look at everything, you're like, how easy was it to be the Crow? If you had long black hair and you put on white face paint and you look okay with your shirt off, you could be the Crow.
I mean, didn't Sting do it? He just changed himself to look like the Crow.
Yeah. In the 90s, that was, he changed from Surfer Sting to the Crow Sting. Yep. All right, next page here.
Mortal Costumes. Raiden by Jason Dooley of Fayetteville, Georgia. Scorpion, Get Over Here by Martin Eyestone.
But I gotta say, Martin Eyestone, that's an awesome name. That's a comic book name there.
That is a character name if I've ever seen one. Eyestone. I love it. It's a good name. And then we've got Sub-Zero is PJ Kaufman of Maple Shade, New Jersey. Again, another New Jersey. There's a lot of Jersey and Illinois people doing cosplay. And then the lesser of the masked, Mortal Kombat characters, Smoke by Jonathan King from Brevard, North Carolina.
And so what Wizard has to say about this is, finish him! Out of about 20 MK2 costume entries with no Barakas, what's wrong with you people? Here's the coolest combatants. Obviously Mortal Kombat was all the rage at this time, and even in the Wizard offices they reported they were playing Mortal Kombat before they gave away the arcade machines, so...
Yeah, it's really good. I think it's kind of fun. Again, Mortal Kombat was a huge, huge game at this time. Everybody was playing it. Everybody loved it. Everybody remembers all the, the blood code and the cheat codes and all those things. And the fatalities and so on and so forth. The next one, it's a Venom. It's an okay Venom. It
looks like the actual, eyes and the tongue are just paper.
Yeah.
This is a one-time shot. You could not wear this on the street for trick-or-treating.
I also think the spider on his chest is also a one-time shot because it looks like some of the legs are already peeling up.
Yeah.
It almost gives me the impression that he's giant Venom because he's holding tiny action figures in his hands.
And I don't know if you remember this, but that happens in the Sega Spider-Man arcade game. You fight Venom, but Venom becomes a giant in that game. So maybe he was a big fan of it. I don't know.
So this is by Brian Goff of Brunswick, Georgia. Hey, wall crawler, say hi to my colon when you get there. Alrighty then.
Now next up, this is the most ridiculous looking costume, but you gotta applaud this kid. Alex Lissick of Cookeville, Tennessee. Oops, somebody's solar kite got stuck in a tree. Throw a rock at it to get it down. So yes, full red leotard and tights. He's got yellow goggles. He's got the insignia on the chest. This kid climbed up into a tree like he's flying around as if he is Solar Man of the Atom.
He needs a hamburger though. He looks hungry.
You can see those ribs.
Then we've got baby Captain America, Kyle Holland from Myriad, Missouri. And it says, nobody told me about this super soldier serum side effect. Damn it.
Now, the best part about this is he looks more like he is the Reb Brown Captain America because he doesn't have, the mask over the face. The face is just open, And Reb Brown just had that helmet, back in the day. So I'm sure that wasn't the intention. They just knew a baby wouldn't keep a mask over his face. But if you wanted to go that direction.
The bottom page here is a Vampirella. And I have to just point this out. It says, Paula, last name withheld, from Indianapolis, Indiana. And I feel like probably this was the best move by Wizard because 30 years later, the internet would be finding this picture and finding Paula last name withheld.
And some of the creepier residents of Indiana might have been breaking out the phone book trying to give her a call because even Wizard says here, their quote, as if she's saying, hey, when we're done with the picture, want to dig up a corpse and chuck it on the highway?
Because she's sitting on a tombstone.
Yeah, she went to an actual cemetery for this. I don't know if the families appreciate that. But it is a good costume. I mean, it's a quality costume.
So now, jumping up to the top of the next page, we've got a Psylocke, which looks really, really good.
Awesome.
Excellent really impressive, well done, leotard, and the hair looks great. The legs look great with the leggings and the different straps around the legs. I don't know what they even call those. She doesn't have any of her psionic swords, but how do you make a psionic sword in the 90s? I don't know.
Also, a lot of people posing in trees for Halloween. That's where you pose if you're a superhero.
I guess you can't climb a wall sometimes. You know, use a tree instead. And this is Dawn Northington from Madison, Tennessee. And the caption says, as a demonstration of my ninja prowess, I'll remain completely motionless, thus blending with the surroundings and disappearing. See? Okay.
Oh, the next one is unfortunate. Mom really tried with this one, but it is Mark Eric Mead of Adams, Wisconsin. He is a very lumpy Wolverine with the classic Batman from the 1940s serials floppy ears.
Remember A Christmas Story when Ralphie comes down in the bunny costume? This is the yellow bunny costume, essentially, as opposed to the pink one that he wears in that movie. It's kind of what it looks like.
I mean, and he's got little nubby claws, like they're made out of foil. Like, it's unfortunate, but Wizard says he's the best there is at what he does, but it sure as hell ain't dressing himself.
Oh, boy. So next we have a very casual and cool Cyclops by Scott Hockers of Minnetonka, Minnesota. You know, it's not the most flattering costume. It's, you know, it's a little bulky, and his pose is a little, I don't know, too casual for Cyclops. But it says, so, what do you say, babe? I'll ditch my red-headed old lady, and you and me go for a ride.
Yeah, but I think the coolest part of this is Scott Summers is Cyclops, and this kid's name is Scott, so he probably has a special connection to Cyclops.
One would assume, yes, I would hope so.
So down below, we have, again, going with the independent comics, we have Grendel. Yes, Zach Turflinger of La Mirada, California, posing on top of some office building somewhere, and he says, hey kid, if that ball comes in my yard one more time, I'll run you through. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty great. If anybody knows Matt Wagner's Grendel, I mean, it's just a black bodysuit, he's got the white gloves, he's got white, looks like he just pulled socks up really high to look like boots. His stabby stick, I don't know what you call that.
That's a new one for me. I didn't even know who that was. So then the next one we have is a father and son dressed as a fairly decent 1960s version of Batman and Robin. This is Daniel and Joshua Kelly from Prince Frederick, Maryland. And it says, ugh, just when I thought Batman 3 couldn't get much worse. And it's a tiny baby dressed as Robin and a dad dressed as Batman in the blue and gray costume. And I'll say the cowl, not the worst cowl I've ever seen on a Batman costume.
Yeah, it actually worked out. The ears are stiff, and that's what you need most of all. But I always applaud anybody that does the blue and gray Batman costume because it seems so rare to find that. So down here at the bottom, this is another Madman costume, but it is a dog just wearing a cape that has the Madman insignia on it. It says, quote, take the damn picture already. I'm dying in this freaking dog suit. It is Caddy Bell is the name of the dog, dressed up by Laura Wolf and Brian Prater of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So they're obviously Mike Allred fans. We are down to the big winners now, the top 3 winners, and let's see what you think, if they really deserve this. Michael, who's our first one? Do you know this character?
Do I know this what? Okay, so the third prize winner is Kevin Stacks from Pueblo, Colorado, and it is the Golden Age version of the Sandman. Really, really cool. I like it. What is he holding? Is it supposed to be the Sandman gun? Or
yeah, I think that's supposed to be his night gun.
So, first of all, it has a little thought bubble that says, I hate having to wear all this crap every time I go to Jersey. Oh, take that, Jersey.
Poor Jersey. I love how Wizard justifies making him one of the big winners, because they say a lot of that stuff looks store-bought, but seeing how it all came from unrelated areas, how cool the background scenery fits in with the photo, and just how cool Ken looks, he clocks in at number 3. Way to go, man. So yeah, because it feels kind of like cheating. It's like, well, if you had access to a gas mask and a fedora, you could be the Sandman.
So our second prize are 2 Stormtroopers, and if you fast forward 30 30 years later, you see Stormtroopers all the time. But back then,
Yes.
you didn't see them as much. And these are pretty decent. Derek Oswundell and Roger Brough from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And it seems as if they're clay shooting Ewoks. One guy's yelling, "Pull!" And he goes, "Ha! These Ewoks are a hoot," as he's shooting them out of the sky.
Now, the grand prize, though, very impressive. This is Tom Klimiuk and Rich Hartle. They were a team that put this together from Lakewood, Ohio. It is the Predator. And Predator is there pulling off the mask. You've got the full, sculpted just look of the mandibles and the fangs and everything. You got the dreadlocks just look perfect. Because he's tipping off the helmet just a little bit, he goes, "Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal." So it's very Spaceballs, just pulling that out there. Unless they were going all the way back to the classic Looney Tunes that inspired that.
It's a pretty scary-looking Predator. I'm having a hard time looking at it, to be honest with you, at the moment. I don't like it at all. It's scary.
I know, it's not your cup of tea, but I love what Tom, one of the winners, they asked him what his thought process was. He says, quote, "I was looking at last year's costumes. I saw the Predator one that sucked and said, I'll make a better one." So I love that he did it out of spite for someone disrespecting the Predator with a crappy costume the previous year.
This is the most elaborate costume of all of them, for sure, without question. So I would give him first prize if it were me.
Yeah, Psylocke's very impressive. I gotta go. I'm still blown away by the Gambit costume. That one is just every detail is perfect for me. He's my number one. I would have given that kid the prize. Because that's the other thing. All the major winners were adults.
Yeah.
Give the kids something special. Come on, Wizard. This is their holiday after all. All right, but we hope you guys enjoy your Halloween. Oh, yes, have some fun out there, giving some candy to all the trick-or-treaters. Or, hey, if you're still going out there trick-or-treating yourself and you're listening to this show and you remember Wizard, maybe we need to have a talk. But either way, we hope that you enjoy your night and have some fun. And until next time...